Oh, hello there. My name is Mr. Radom, and I will be your math teacher for your online math course. And I look forward to working with you. So I'll just make this little video here and walk you through the resources that you have online and how you can access help and just in general do a good job on your online course.
So this is our website. Here's the URL, sd42onlinemath.yolasite.com. And of course it looks like this. And so this lists all the courses that we're currently offering. You are taking Math 11 Pre-Calculus, so let's click on this link. Now it'll ask for a login and a password. Your login is going to be capital SD42 and your password is math. Now that math is all in lowercase. Okay, so we'll click submit. And this brings us to the Math 11 Pre-Calculus page. I'll start with showing you the teacher contact information on the right here. So currently right now the teacher of this course is Mr. Bruce Payen, and the email address for your teacher will be right here, and you can email anytime if you have any questions or you want to set up a private help session in Zoom. So Zoom is the platform that we use to get your online one-on-one help. And this would be the link for the Zoom help room. Now this Zoom help room is not staffed 24/7. So the first thing you would do is you would email your teacher, set up a time, and then you would log in at that time to get the help you need. Okay, the information on the left here is what you need to work through your course. So there's some frequently asked questions here. And I won't go through all these questions now because I'll be answering most of them in this video. But if you do have a question about how the course works or how you access help and so on, chances are the answer to those questions will be found here in the frequently asked questions page. So it'd be good if you could search for that here. And if you don't find the question answered here, then always feel free to email your teacher. Okay, let's look at the course outline. Click on this, and this brings up the Math 11 Pre-Calculus marks record sheet. So you can see here that there are all the topics in the course, and the course is set up by 20 learning guides. Okay, learning guides 1 to 20. And you can see that there's learning guide 1 is on arithmetic sequences and series. That's the first thing you're going to learn. And geometric sequences and series will be the second thing, and then trigonometry, and then there's a unit test, and it shows you the weighting of each of the things that you're doing here. So after you finish the first learning guide, there'll be a little quiz that you'll do here for learning guide 1, and then we'll move on and do a quiz for learning guide 2. Your teacher will mark those quizzes and give you some feedback on that. And eventually here you'll get to the first unit test, the unit 1 test. Now this is an opportunity to improve your mark in this unit. So if the average of this unit, say, was 80% and you got 85 on the unit test, then we would replace all the marks in this unit with 85%. Otherwise, the unit test will just count as 4.4% of your overall mark. And you can see there's another unit here, and there's another unit here, and there's a project for this learning guide on financial literacy, another unit test here, and then we do some review at the end, and there's a course final exam. The course final exam is worth 20% of your course mark, or if you do better on your course final exam than your course mark, then we can replace the entire course mark with your final exam mark. Okay, so that's sort of the outline of the course there. And then maybe I'll just skip to this right now, the formula sheets. So there's a formula sheet link here, and you can use this formula sheet on any of your tests or quizzes. Okay, there's just kind of the formulas that we'll be learning as we go through various topics in the course. Okay, so where are all the assignments for those learning guides? They're right here under learning guides. So let's click on that. And that takes us to all the different assignments here. So here's all of the learning guides that involve some work to do. So let's start with learning guide 1. Let's click on that. Okay, and this brings us up with our first assignment, arithmetic sequences and series. There's a little introduction, Then you'll see the learning guide expectations. These are the 4 things that you're going to have to know how to do in this particular learning guide. The evaluation says just look at that Marks record sheet or the course outline to see if it's a unit test or not. This is just a quiz. Here's the resources that you're going to need. And then we get into the learning activities. So for those first couple of expectations, identify and build an arithmetic sequence and find unknown quantities using arithmetic sequence formula. Here's how we're going to learn how to do those first 2 things. Here's a little video that you can watch, a YouTube video. Okay, then there's some things to do in the textbook. So in the textbook, complete these things here, then complete number 4 and 5 in the textbook. Okay, so we need to get the textbook open. So what I would do is I would open another tab here. So let's get this tab open, and let's go to Math 11 Pre-Calculus, and let's open the textbook right down here, last link. Okay, so this is the PDF of the textbook, and now what I would do is I would actually open another copy of the textbook, because what I like to do, just slide this over here. Okay, so what I'd like to do is I like to have the learning guide in one tab, the textbook in another tab, and what this is going to be is actually going to be the answers. So let's go down to the answers section, which is of course at the back. Oops, I think we're here. There we go, we're getting close. 1.1. Okay, here's the answers. Let's go back to the learning guide. So the learning guide said complete the investigate arithmetic sequence activity on pages 6 and 7. So here's our textbook. Let's go to page 6 and page 7. I think you can, nope, these ones aren't hyperlinked. Maybe under contents. Yes. So you can, if you click on contents, you can just go straight to, sorry, what page are we on there? Page 6 and 7, and there we go. Oh, I see. That's the pre part of 6 and 7. Okay, let's go down to, this is all the preamble stuff. Okay, here's really page 6 and 7. Okay, so here we have, let's go back to the learning guide. Here you would work through the investigate arithmetic sequence activity, part A only on 6 and 7. And then it says, then complete number 4 and 5 on page 8. So on page 8, here we go. Here's, you would just do these questions of the investigation part. Okay. And then in the textbook, read pages 8 and 9, and then work through examples 1 to 4 on 10 to 15. So you would read through 8 and 9. Here's some vocabulary terms. You're learning about some things here, some formulas that you're learning about, and then there's a bunch of examples. The nice thing about this is the solutions are completely worked out here. Okay, so you'd work through example 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, then it says this. You'll see this little book here where you're writing in it. This is a spot for you to make some notes. So it says read key ideas on page 16. That's right here, key ideas on page 16. And then in your math journal, which is really just your set of notes. So your math journal is just where you're making your notes. Now, it says give an example of an arithmetic sequence, and with your arithmetic sequence, identify how you determine the difference. Write the formula for the general term of an arithmetic sequence and identify the parts of the formula. So what's T1, N, D, and Tn, and so on. You may already have those notes if you watch the instructional video, but this is just like a spot where, okay, you should know this material by now because you've watched a video, you've done some examples in the textbook. So now we should really have this concept solidified. So make sure you understand those things that it says here in your journal. And now we're going to actually do some practice with those skills. So this is where the answer keys will come in handy. So complete pages 16 to 20. so on 1 to 7. So here's where we would start on page 16, number 1. So as I'm working through these questions, it's nice to just look over here and say, okay, check my answer. Am I getting it right? If yes, great. That means you know what you're doing. If not, then maybe go back and look at it, or look at one of the examples, or you can even email your teacher for help if you're stuck on something from the learning guide questions. Now, just a question about all these. You might look at this and say, whoa, that's a lot of questions. And so you're not actually going to hand any of your work from the learning guide into your teacher. The learning guide work is your work to practice the concepts that you're expected to know. So you do as many or as few of those questions as you need to do. So maybe there's a particular topic that you're strong at, or maybe you have some background information already on the topic. As long as you know how to do these questions, then that's okay. So if you're doing really well on some of these ones in here and you see a bunch more questions that are just like it and you think that's a waste of time to do it, you don't need to do it because you're not going to submit any of this work. Okay, then we move on, expectation 3 and 4. Here's a video. Here's some examples and things to work through. Here's another summary of some key concepts. And here's some more practice questions from the textbook. And again, you can check on the answers. At the end of the learning guide, there's a review and challenge. So this is just like some additional questions. It's a chapter review out of the textbook. So you could do those if you like. Here's some key terms, things that you should understand now at the end of the guide, what these things mean. And then here's some practice quizzes. So you can click on these links and they'll take you to some practice quizzes. Okay, that some of these are multiple choice, so you can go down here and select some answers, so on. And then there's some short answer questions and some problem questions. And you can click check your work. It says I didn't answer some questions. All right. Oh, look at me go. Guessed two questions and got them right. The ones you get wrong, of course, will show up with the red X here, and the answers are all down below here. And the short answers, it's not going to mark that for you, obviously, but it does work the answers out here for you, so you can check those ones on your own. Okay, so again, these practice quizzes, these are optional things that you can do to get ready for your quiz. All of these things in the learning guide are optional things. They're just resources that we're providing you with, and you can pick and choose what you need to do to learn the expectations. Okay, so let's go back and look at, these practice quizzes here, these are the same things that were on the learning guides. So at the end there that I just showed you, this is just a page that has them all in here linked. So there's nothing really new here. They're linked in the learning guides as well. But there are some assessment quizzes and assessment quiz answer keys. Now let's click on this here. So what we've done is we've created some tests, some assessment quizzes for each of the learning guides that are very similar to the ones that you're actually going to do for marks. So if I click on this one here, okay, you can see here's version A of the quiz. And some questions that you can do. Okay, and after you've done that assessment quiz, you could go to the assessment quiz answer keys, and we've made an answer key for each of these. And so you can check your work and see how you did. And when you feel like you're ready for another version, so you can see we've given you version A and B, we'll send you version C or D or whatever, some other version of Learning Guide 1. And make arrangements for you to write that test. So those assessment quizzes are very similar to the ones that you're actually going to do. So it's very good to do the assessment quiz and check your answers on those. And then when you're ready, you'll email your teacher and say, hey, I'm ready for that Learning Guide 1 quiz. And you and your teacher will make arrangements to write the real one, the one that's for marks. Okay, so those are all the topics. Let's just go back here to that course outline. Okay, so let's say we finished Learning Guide 1. Now you can see we would just go on to Learning Guide 2. And same process. Work through the Learning Guide. Work through whatever resources you like. Definitely want to do the assessment quizzes for Learning Guide 2. And if those are going well, then you're ready for your real quiz. Email your teacher and make arrangements to actually write that quiz. And the same process will happen when you get to the unit test. So if we go and where's our learning guides? Let's bring up Learning Guide 4, which is our first unit test. So there's no new material here. This is just a review of Learning Guides 1, 2, 3. So we've made up some practice tests for these ones, some practice unit tests. Okay, and the unit tests that you do for Learning Guide 4 will be similar to what you've done in Learning Guide 1, 2, and 3 on your tests there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's just back up here again. So you've got some frequently asked questions, you've got your course outline, you've got all your assignments in here, your learning guides, you've got a formula sheet that you can use on any test, you've got some practice quizzes, you've got some assessment quizzes, which are actually the ones that are very close to the real quizzes that you get, along with the answer keys for those. You have your textbook, and over here you have the teacher contact information for which you can get help. So we're wishing you all the best in your Math 11 Pre-Calculus course, and we look forward to working with you successfully in the course.